Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn school organization and management. In this we have 5 units. First unit is Introduction to School Organization and Management. 1.3 Aims, Objectives and Function of Educational Management. Here we have some points for educational aims and objective and functions of educational management. To provide safety of society of the future, to develop personality and discipline among the students, to safeguard the traditional and social value, to enhance skill according to interest, talent and competencies of children, to impart awareness on experiments, research, environment and health issue, educational management on democratic policies. You can read all this. So these are the aims and objective functions of educational management. Here we can point out some main points. Preparation of planning to achieve educational management. So the main function of educational management we can say is, or we can, the aims and objective of educational management we can say, preparation of planning to achieve educational aims. Second, to coordinate the school activities. Whatever the activities of the school, we have to have a good coordinate. Third, to establish and fix financial, physical and human resources. So the main aim of the education management is to establish and fix the financial, physical resource and human resource, to specify educational activities and supervision of the activity. So the aims of the educational management is to specify educational activity and supervision. And last we can sum up and say that to evaluate the achieved development, means whatever development is there, there should be a evaluation. It may be informal or it may be formal. So these are the aims and objectives of educational management. We have seen aims and objective. Now we, in this slide we see functions of educational management. So what are the main functions of educational management? Here, educational management first formulate aims of education and its achievement, means they have some aims and they have to achieve that aims. Second, it formulate education policies and their implementation, means when they have an aim of education and the achievement, they have to formulate education policies and their implementation. Third, they need to create a structure of organization and administration, means they have to procure or they have to get create a structure of organization and administration. They have to provide physical and human resources along with budget. For HR and PR, they need a budget also. They have to regulate the activities and evaluation success in the achievement, means they have to supervise vision, they have to direct the activities and they have to do evaluation uh, time by time, so that they know the success and their achievements. They decide the power and authority of educational institution, because they have the authority to decide or give the authority, they have the power to give the authority of the educational institutes. They can evaluate the proposed policies and principles and results generated from the aims, means they can have, they can evaluate what they have the aims, what they have the achievement. They can evaluate the policies and principles and result are generated from the aims, means the result what they have generated, they can compare what the aims they have, so they can do the evaluation. They should provide necessary resources along with staff of the effective functioning of education institution. Until unless they provide the staff, the function, the practical doesn't run. So they should provide the necessary resources along with the staff of for the effective functioning of education institution, means for teaching, human resources for teaching staff, they should provide a effective staff. Next, they should formulate qualitative and quantitative standard to assess the work of the staff. So not only they have to provide quantity, but they have to see the quality of the standard to assess the work of the staff. See, you can't take a degree pass student to teach for higher school. We need, now it is compulsory and become a mandatory. You have to be training. You have to be B.Ed or M.Ed trained to teach for higher school, or you have PPT training, different kinds of, until unless you are trained, you won't be able to teach. So it is a quality, as we are quality and quantity standard to assess the work of the staff. So we can put them in the point wise. First, to formulate aims of education and its achievement. Second, formulate education policy and their implement. Third, create a structure of organization and administration. Fourth, provide physical and human resources along with budget. Fifth, formulate qualitative and quantitative standard to assess the work of the staff. Sixth, regulate the activities and evaluation success and in achievements. Then decide the power and the authority of the education institute, evaluation process, and provide necessary resources along with the staff for the effective function of educational institution. So these are the functions of educational management. Educational management functions are nothing but to provide, first of all, what are the aims. They wanted to open CBSE school, ICSE school, or SSE school, pre-primary school, primary school, high school, middle school, or high school. First they have to formulate their educational aims, and they should know their policies and their implementation. They should create a structure of organization and administration. They have to provide HR and PR. They have to provide a authority of educational institution. They have to provide a manager or leader. Yes, they have to formulate a qualitative and quantitative standard of assess of the work of the staff. They have to provide effective function of provide resources along with staff for the effective function of educational institution, and they have to evaluate to know the weakness and the strength of the system. So these are the functions of educational management. 1.4 Types of educational management. Till now we have seen what is educational management, meaning, definition, aims, objective and function of educational management, and scope of educational management. Now in this slide we are seeing types of educational management. Types of educational management mainly divided into three: autocratic management or centralized management, democratic management or decentralized management. Third one is laissez-faire management. Here you can remember in one word: autocratic management or centralized management. One leader, one man, one person has the authority to run. Democratic management or decentralized, it is like democratic country India, where everyone has the right, equal right. In democratic management, no leader, one word we can remember that: no leader, all are equal. In laissez-faire management, leader is present, but his role is passive. He is like a catalyst. You all know what is catalyst. Catalyst, it is present in the chemical reaction, but it is like a passive. So here, for remembering main point, you can remember autocratic management, one leader; democratic management, no leader, all are equal; laissez-faire management, leader is present but passive, no active leader. Leader here is present but he is active mode. He is he is in a passive mode. So now we'll go in detail. Autocratic management or centralized management, it is from top to bottom, one side, one leader, one man army, where you have to listen. The full power, the full authority is with him, with the leader. Everyone has to follow the rules of the leader. It's like boss type. Everyone has to follow the boss, listen to the boss. Here, no other person have a chance to give their opinion, suggestion or ideas. Here, other people remain passive and leader remain active. Autocratic leader fully active, fully powered, fully authorized, full have the rights, and everyone has to listen to him. In democratic management like India, a democratic country where everyone has the right, all are equal. It is for the people, by the people, of the people. So everyone has a right. Here no leader, zero. Leader is absent. Everyone are leader themselves. They have, everyone has the right to keep their opinion, give their ideas, give their suggestions, and everyone has the right to talk. In democratic management, decentralized, it is from top to bottom and bottom to top. Why two sides? Now third one, laissez-faire management. Leader is present, but he is passive. Leader is present, but he is passive. He will give suggestion if required. Otherwise, he is a passive. He remains passive. So the main difference between autocratic and laissez-faire: autocratic, leader present, active; laissez-faire, leader present but passive. And in democratic, there is no leader. All are equal. Now we see the difference between autocratic and democratic management. We have some points. See, seeing the picture, you can see in autocratic management, I have kept only one person, one leader, boss. Whereas in democratic management, we have all the people, all of them have equal rights. So we'll see point wise. First, in autocratic management, planning is done by person who is at central level, top level. But in democratic, planning is done by people involved at the management, from top to bottom, from bottom to top. Everyone is involved in the planning. Whereas in autocratic, only boss or only at the top of the level will plan. Second point, one person dominates all the programs of the school and there is no freedom for subordinates on lower levels. Means you have to follow the rule of the top person, the leader. The leader has full authority, 100% authority is given here to him. In democratic, equal shares will be given to all the people at all levels. For example, if you have 100 and 10 people, every person will get 10 10 10. Or if you have 100 rupees and 5 people, everyone get 20 20 20 20 shares. Whereas in autocratic, if you have 100, the 100 rupee will stay near the leader. Third, rulers and people at high level and their personalities are given importance. Here, as we discussed earlier, it is like boss type. You have to give respect and have to give the importance to that leader in autocratic management. Whereas in democratic, there is recognition for values and principles from anybody of the management. Here, they all are equal. No discrimination, no extra power, no extra, what you say, uh, importance given to any one person. Here all are equal, all are being given importance, equally importance. Next point, fourth point, in autocratic management, special powers and facilities will be given to autocratic manager. Please see, special powers and facilities will be given to autocratic management. Means autocratic management have special powers and facilities, whereas in democratic, no person will have special recognition and abnormal powers. Why we are saying abnormal powers? Here, abnormal powers are given, means special powers are and facilities are given to the autocratic management leader, whereas here all are equal. We are saying that all are equal and all are given same importance and no special power and special recognition. So here, for the people, by the people, of the people, all people have the rights to keep their opinion in democratic management. They have the right to plan. They have the right to keep their suggestions, their ideas. Fifth one, there is no scope for values like freedom, justice, and equality. When you are giving a power to one person, authority to one person, when you are giving full right, 100 share to one person, one leader, full authority, then there won't be any scope for values like freedom, justice, and equality. Why we are telling freedom? Because if what the leader says and the subordinate doesn't like, he doesn't have a right to point out the leader, point out the boss. So there is no freedom, no justice, no equality. Whereas in democratic value, whereas in democratic we have the values like equality, justice, freedom, and human values are developed. Here all are equal, all have the rights. So the equality is there, the justice is there, the freedom. Any person can, a top person or a bottom person, a principal or a ayah can have a freedom to talk, or from top to bottom, because here from top of the uh, management to the bottom subordinate, everyone has the right to talk, give their suggestion, give their opinion, give their ideas. So these are the main difference. Main difference is autocratic, one man army, one leader. Democratic, no leader, all are equal, all are have same importance. 1.5, school under different management. Till now, we have learned different type of management. In this subunit 1.5, we are going to learn schools under different management. This is very important for essay question. It is so school under different management. It is divided into three sections, three types: government management, local bodies, and private management. Schools which comes under central government are Kendriya Vidyalayas, Navodayas, National Open School, Sainik Schools, Social Welfare Schools. Schools which comes under state government, again divided into two, mainly divided into two: state government primary school, upper primary school, high schools. Social welfare school, SC/ST schools, ashram schools. Local body schools are divided again into three: municipal corporation schools, Jilla Parishad schools, and Mandal Parishad schools. Private management, there are two types: fully private and grant in aid private. Fully private, it is again divided into two: recognized and unrecognized. Recognized means they are getting permission, recognition from the government. Unrecognized means they don't have permission, they are not recognized by the government. And grant in aid private means these schools get, they are recognized by the government and run by the private person. Here they get some funds, some grant in aid by the government also. So here, since the subunit 1.5 has detailed explanation, we will cover it in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you understand the concept.